Today's April 10th, 11 o'clock, 2020. And we have Kathy Davis and Trvaglini LLC, and we're welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. And the show's yours. Just tell us whatever you'd like to tell us today.
Okay, I have the other two lawyers in my firm with me, Christine Trvaglini and Chris Bosler. Chris is our city expert and Christine's our county expert. And Chris also covers Jefferson and St. Charles. So those are the counties that we're most familiar with. I talked to a couple of my judge friends this morning to see what kind of update I could get as far as the reopening of the courts. And I will say what I said last week again, which is it's not just dependent on the courts. It's also dependent on the counties where the courts are about what their orders are. And then of course, what Governor Parson decides to order. But at this point, the city is tentatively planning to reopen May 4th. That's subject to what goes on with the virus. And that's subject to whether the city will relax its shelter-in-place order and what the governor says and what the Missouri Supreme Court says. Ideally, they would all be on the same page about when to reopen things. They are still doing some emergency things, cases where there's abuse. They do video arraignment of prisoners and that kind of thing. But for all intents and purposes, for our stuff, the civil stuff, it looks like it's not going to be before May 4th, but possibly could be by then. And the county is pretty much the same. For our bulk dockets with, our landlord cases, they have asked us for suggestions, and we have suggested doing things like divide the dockets into 3 time slots, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Not as many people there. So that gives the judges time that they've set aside for jury trials to, maybe give some of that to us. They are going to have some things that have to take priority, some criminal trials. Constitutional right to jury still. Okay, so does anybody else want to say preliminarily?
No, I don't have any new updates other than what you have provided.
That's what we got as far as the new stuff. So we're ready for questions, I guess.
Okay. If anybody got questions, please put them in the chat box there. So the county's pretty much on the same page, it sounds like, with the city, and May 4th is what you're saying as far as is what the projected date at this point. Okay.
Yeah, the city's the only one that has said that date, but the county would probably go along with them.
Okay. Okay, and actually, it sounds like the criminal cases will have precedence, though, it sounds like.
Some of them will, yeah. Now, if we're not going to get juries again until August, they should be giving us dockets right away in May, because that just requires a judge.
Okay.
So we're hoping. And we were not able to find out about the sheriffs. I know some of our clients have judgments already, and they need the sheriffs to execute on them, and the sheriffs are not doing that now. And we don't know yet when they will start again. We think when the courts reopen they will, but we haven't been able to get hold of anybody at the sheriff's. I think they're all hiding somewhere.
Well, it sounds like they're distancing too.
Nothing happening at least through April 30th, which what we have specific orders on.
Okay, I just saw a question, but it went away and I didn't see the whole question.
Okay, what can you do when the city said they are not going to process building permits and we should just wait? Is that correct?
Is that what they've said? They're not going to process them?
Yeah, I believe some of the municipalities said that, and also on occupancy permits. Now, that's what I've heard. Do you know anything about that? Can you give us any light?
We've heard that they're not willing to do those inspections and go in and do that right now. you know, it's up to you what risk you want to take. If you have a qualified tenant that needs a place to stay, I think we could get you out of trouble when everything starts back up again. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have a question that they haven't answered? I think you've done a good job filling us in on the details. It sounds like a lot of things are similar to what they were last week, except maybe we have a little more detail right now.
Okay, I just saw something pop up from Dwayne Stiers, but I could only read the first couple of words.
I just had an occupancy permit process, is what he said. And then somebody else said they had Woodson Terraces holding out, but the county processing as expected. Okay.
Okay. You guys obviously know more about that part than we do.
Yeah, I think that's more municipality specific.
Yeah, I agree. And that's always a problem. You know,
Mhm.
when there's 89 municipalities plus the city and the county and someone asks a general question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
They each have their own little version of craziness.
yes. And somebody said they're still getting occupancy permits in the city. I got one yesterday. So that, yeah, that could very well be true. Mhm.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm not doing that right now.
Good. Yeah.
Trying to stay away from all the municipalities. Somebody said, let's see here, Pat just said that she talked to St. Louis County and they will proceed with inspections with some stipulations.
Okay. Well, I have a residential deal that I'm involved with, which I usually do not do.
Mhm.
And the inspector is coming to do the, inspection today. And, we've gotten assurances that the inspector, and this is a private building inspector, but they're going to come and do it, but they're going to be bootied and gloved and masked and,
Sure.
and all. So,
Okay. Sandra wanted to know if St. Charles is proceeding with occupancy inspections. Again, I think that's a municipality probably question.
yeah.
Mhm.
Gary LeMay, the St. Charles County inspector, and said that they were not for the time being.
Chris has heard
Okay.
from someone that St. Charles is not doing them for the time being, but we're not 100% sure that's accurate. I'd call and see if you get anybody.
Now, would you think that if they're not doing them right now, it would be okay to move your prospective tenant in there? Or
Yes.
yes.
We think we can get you out of trouble when this is all over.
Okay. Okay.
We think we're going to get some leeway.
I think at least apply for the occupancy.
Apply for it. Let's assume that your property is going to be in good condition, so there's not going to be something bad that they're going to find.
Right.
The roof is on, the floors are there, the doors closed. I mean, yeah.
And what about building permits? Neil was saying here, should you go against the municipalities for losses incurred, especially if this takes 12 to 18 months to get a vaccine?
I don't think this is what they call force majeure or act of God. I don't think you're going to be able to sue anybody for it. I don't think that it's going to take 12 to 18 months to get building permits, and you might even be able to get them now because in the city and the county, the construction trades are considered essential services, and I know they're still working.
Yes.
There's a building going up in back of where I live, and they're there every day. There's tuck pointers at my building. They're there. There are people across the street doing work on the Chase. I mean, that's ongoing. So I think inspectors are working for that purpose. Woodson Terrace, I see that pop up. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, we have apartments going up not too far from us, and they're also building lanes on the roads right next to them. So, and
Yeah.
I mean, they're working every day.
Yeah, we have Charter laying fiber cable in our office park right
Okay.
now. They're out there.
All right.
I don't see anybody with a mask on either.
Yeah. Let's see. Paul says, I have a tenant in place behind on rent. Lease ends 4/30. He expects they'll be becoming a holdover tenant on 5/1. Yeah, I think that's kind of common. I have talked with them and they are trying to move, but are unemployed. What are my options? May 1st. The building is financed via seller financing.
Seller financing. Okay.
Mhm.
So you could file unlawful detainer May 1st. We can still file with the courts. Our hope is that for the clients who want to file and want to spend the money now, that they will be first in line to get court dates when the courts reopen. And it's possible that the clerks will start issuing summonses even before the courts officially reopen for business, because that's just the clerks going in and doing it. We're not sure. But
Yeah. They're gonna have to determine a definite date before the clerks will issue the
Right.
summons with the specific.
right, if they know that they're going to reopen May 4th, and then they can assign specific court dates, we think they might do that. But it might also be a thought to work out a short extension and see if you can get some money out of them. But if you take money for May, you will have created a month-to-month tenancy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then that would have to be terminated or whatever to file the eviction.
Mm. Okay. And John says, what if a tenant says they can't pay? Should you ask for proof that they lost their job or they're not receiving any pay? Can we actually ask them to prove it?
Yeah, you could. I'd ask them for a copy of their unemployment application, because if they lie to the government, that's, bad. So hopefully that would be truthful.
Okay.
I mean, I think you're going to have tenants who are going to not pay the rent because even if they're still receiving income, they are scared and they want to use it for food, or something that they consider more essential.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a secret that we can't evict people right now. So they know that we don't have that.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard anything about that rent strike that's going around the country? The evil landlord things?
Locally, there were a couple of articles in the paper a while back, and I haven't heard of anything since then.
No, there was some little blurb of an article.
Okay, I'm going to hand this to Christine. She's got some info.
I don't have a lot. There's just some little blurb of an article that I read today that while there was the supposed rent strike across the country, at least in Missouri and Illinois, the landlords weren't seeing that. A lot of the landlords were saying we received a large percentage of the April rents from their tenants. So I don't know that it's necessarily a thing here right now. I don't know. That's just it. That's all I've heard. Not a lot.
Okay, we'd be really interested. Our telephone number is 314-962-1115. If anybody gets wind of tenant rent strikes, we'd be interested just to know about it.
Okay.
I think it's foolish for the tenants to do that.
Yeah, I think.
We think it would be much better if if everybody communicates and you work something out.
Yes.
Ask to see some kind of proof that the coronavirus has affected their income in whatever way. You can certainly ask for that. And then do your best to communicate with the tenant. I think we said it last week too, to work out some kind of payment arrangement, maybe make it a reduced amount for the next couple of months, or work out something then where they get back caught up in maybe July or something. But communication, I think, is the key, if you can, and if the tenant will communicate with you, so that you can get whatever you can get. Because let's say, even if these courts open back up May 4th, that doesn't mean we're necessarily going to get a court date in May. It could mean, especially if they're going to start with all the oldest stuff filed first. I probably have about 40 cases that I started filing the beginning of March that all need court dates still, that they're going to start with those.
Plus for the dockets that are
Plus,
canceled.
right, any of the dockets that got canceled, which would have been any dockets from March 16th through now today even,
Through the end of April, because we still have stuff
that
set in.
those all need to be rescheduled. So even if they open May 4th, and I don't know whether they will, but even if they did, you may not, the first court dates I think we're going to see are going to be maybe the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
And that's for stuff that had been filed before. So that's why I say communicate, do pay plans, do whatever you can do to get something in your.
We think that would be smart for both sides. And I think that if you've tried to work with the tenant, it'll go better for us if we have to go to court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good advice. Yeah, communication is always key.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think just a problem tenant's going to be a problem tenant and use that to their advantage anyway, kind of like you touched on before.
Yeah, well, if there is a really bad problem tenant, if you want to call us and we'll talk about it, because I think there's a couple of judges who would give us hearings on those if we had bad problems, you know, guns, drugs, abuse, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The judges are aware. You know, I've kind of already said it to a couple of the judges that, hey, what if this happens? And, you know, I think we would be able to do something, not just for rent, but for very bad behavior.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Would you, and please leave your contact information again. I'll go ahead and post it on here too to make sure people know how to get a hold of you.
Do you want me to say our phone number again?
Yes, your phone number and extensions, if you don't mind, please.
Yes. Our main phone number is 314-962-1115. I'm extension 11. Christina's extension 13. And Chris's extension 15.
Okay.
We don't have a receptionist right now. His daycare got shut down, so yeah. And our other main staff person, Heather, who some of you know, is working at night. She comes in when no one's here and does her work. And there's a couple other people that work for the other lawyers who might answer the phone, but we don't have that consistently covered right now.
Okay, and it's okay to leave a message, obviously, if you don't answer the phone.
Yeah, leave it in our extension, because if you leave it in the main reception extension, that might not get picked up right away.
Okay.
Go to our extensions and leave us messages. And Christine and Chris and I are coming in every day. We're sort of doing a staggered schedule, but right now we're committed to come in every day as long as we can.
Okay. Very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay. Is there any other questions out there? Do you want to know does anyone know where the state legislature ended up on Bill 1315 and against Bill 1378? I'm personally not familiar with that.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I have on my to-do list for today is I get sent pending legislation and I get to comment on it for the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't gone through it yet. So if you can tell me approximately what those things are, I might know, but I'm not sure.
Okay, Diana, do you happen to know what those might be in regards to? Let me see if I can find her. Diana, I'm going to unmute you here. There you go. Can you hear us? Hello?
Hello?
Diana, you there? Uh-oh, well, she disappeared.
Well, if anybody wants to call us about that, call me, and I can go online and look at statuses.
Okay.
And if it's legislation you guys are interested in, I'm probably interested in it too. So it would behoove me to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well, she's unmuted, but I found her again. Hello, Diana, are you there?
Mic not working.
Mic not working. Okay.
If you go down on the bottom of your screen on the left, that's where you mute and unmute yourself.
Yes, I unmuted her. I don't know. I think she had some problems with her system earlier, though. So, okay, we'll see about that. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I've learned some of the buttons.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. I've been taking a lot of meetings on this lately, and I still don't know everything. We're all learning new skills that we didn't know we needed.
Hello, this is Bruce. Can Kathy expound on that switch changing to month? I don't know if anybody else has problems where a tenant figures they can get by just paying a little bit and it automatically converting from a lease to month, even though the tenants frequently have more power than they realize anyway.
Well, here's the thing. The power is with you on that. If you have a lease that's ending and you don't want to continue the tenant, don't take money for the next month. If they send money to you through a lockbox or other ways, send it back. That, if you accept it, that's when you create a month-to-month. You might want to do that sometimes. It might be okay. Right now, you might be okay with them continuing month-to-month until things get better and you can negotiate a new lease with them. The month-to-month tenancy is on the same terms and conditions as the original lease, So it means that if you have late charges or attorney's fees or those kinds of things, rules and regs, those all carry forward. The only thing that's different is term. It's a month-to-month tenancy instead of a lease for a year or whatever.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yes, very helpful.
Okay.
Bruce, is that answer?
Yeah, yeah, that helps. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, John?
Yeah, Jim,
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. And you?
Fine, fine. I got a question. We got a tenant that we see the writing on the wall that they will probably want to use a security deposit for their last month's rent.
Mhm.
And this happens every once in a while. Question for Kathy and her team. Legally, I mean, what can you really do when they do that? Assuming
Well,
there's no damages, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
First of all, I would still follow the security deposit statute. If they quote unquote use their security deposit for their last month's rent and there's no damages, I would still send them the letter saying that the security deposit was applied to April rent or whatever it was applied to, so that you're compliant with the statute. It's not right. We put it in leases.
I know, I have it in lease.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, even in normal times, if they don't pay on April 1st and we file suit now, we're not getting a court date until May anyway.
And they're already out and gone.
Right. And, you know, do you really want to, then you've incurred attorney's fees and legal costs. And do you really want to go after them just for that? On the other hand, if they use the security deposit as the last month's rent and then don't move or cause damages or that kind of thing, you may have wanted to get going.
Is there a standard letter or something that you mentioned something about that or something?
Well, we could send a letter out saying, you know, we're not agreeing to this, but again, that might not be effective. I think it might be smart during regular times to go and look at their unit and see if you think there's going to be a lot of damages or that kind of thing. I mean, I get this all the time where they're using the security deposit for the last month's rent and then the month ends and they're still not gone and the landlord goes over and says they don't even look like they're moving. Yeah. And you know that. So, I mean, I'd keep a real good eye on them in those situations so you can decide if it's worth it to start the lawsuit before they're gone or not.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully we won't see too many of that, too much of that.
Yeah. There's a few that are always, you know,
Mhm.
going to do that.
Right. Mhm. Anybody else have a question? I think you've done a great job answering everything, Kathy.
Thanks. I'm going to hand the phone to Chris because he hasn't talked yet and see if he has anything to add
Yes, please. Thank you.
on the city, other counties.
Well, I think we pretty much covered what's going on in the city. The only interesting issue that's come up since the last time we talked is I had one of my clients call me being concerned about tenants having gatherings, parties, barbecues,
Coronavirus parties.
and what could she do to, and, you know, and I said, we kind of came up with the solution of, because I told her, you can't do anything to us because the courts are closed, was to I told her to send out a notice to all tenants reminding them about, this was in the city, about the stay-at-home order, the shelter-in-place order, and about highlight a few things that, you know, were, you know, gatherings over 10, that kind of stuff. And then she also wanted to ask if it was legal to bar non-residents from common spaces. I think they have like a little grassy area. And I said, go ahead and send it. You know, I don't know if we can enforce that, but maybe it'll discourage people from doing it. And tenants, she asked me, I told her, send them a direct letter just saying, hey, you've been having parties, you know, just so you know, this is a violation of a city ordinance and therefore in violation of your lease. And we're going to go ahead and, you know, if you do it again, we're going to terminate your tenancy. And once the courts reopen, you're gone. I don't, you know, regardless of whether anything happens about it. So hopefully that'll get it, knock it off, but it might get an idea if you're seeing tenants who are just blatantly ignoring things and want to know, you know, kind of how to move forward with it. Because it's not too far that you'll be able to do it. And I think the judges are not going to be very appreciative of people who are violating the order so blatantly, you know, come once the courts reopen.
So. Excellent.
That's all I got that's new. I'm gonna get back to Kathy.
Still sounds like communication is the key, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here Diana's got on the bill here. It says Bill 1315, I believe, had to do with the landlord's ability to retrieve their assets from delinquent renters for at least a 10-day period after awaiting a court date to appear and file their suit to evict these delinquent renters. Bill 1378 had to do with the late fees and inability to continue to file or extend judgments beyond the 10-year period. Is that
Oh,
10-day period?
well, okay. Let me look those up, and then next time we get together,
Okay.
1315 and 1317.
And 1378, 1315 and 1378.
78. Okay. I will say this, just off the top of my head, when we have a judgment, for rent and possession, it lasts for 10 years. We can try to collect it for 10 years. And if we want to, we can revive that judgment if we do it before the 10 years are up. So we already have a mechanism to make those judgments last more than 10 years if we want to. We are generally of the opinion that if we haven't found them in 10 years, it's unlikely, but we'll do those revivals if you want us to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my experience a lot of times, even with the judgment, the people run away and they're hard to find sometimes.
Right.
And then
Well, that a lot of that has to do with your good screening up front.
correct.
Where you're getting accurate social security numbers and, that kind of thing. There are some people that are never going to be collectible, people who are on permanent disability, retired people, there's things that we can't garnish. But there are some, if you have the kind of complex where it's young people and they mess up starting out, but maybe in a few years, we just had one this week that came in and paid us $15,000 because she wants to buy a house now. And she's got a judgment. The judgment was from 2013. 2011. So it's an old judgment that we didn't think we were ever going to get, but we got $15,000 on it.
Nice.
15 looks like they're trying to lower the 10-day judgment is final and 10-day landlord actions down to 5.
Oh.
It does not look like it's progressed very.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But I doubt that. They introduced the same bill last year that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I doubt
Okay. Right.
They're gonna give them less.
Apparently 1315 is, you have to wait right now 10 days for the judgment to come final, and that's trying to reduce that. I doubt that will be successful. We're lucky that we have 10 days and not 30.
Mm-hmm.
1378.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at a nice picture of a Ferris wheel.
Yeah, somebody came on unmuted. I just their picture shows up if you can hear noise. So yeah, it looks like somebody's having a picnic out there.
Yeah.
A little better than sitting in the living room, I guess, all day long.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions here while we got Kathy here? I think you've done a good job answering everything, and we really appreciate you coming on and keeping us up to date on everything, Kathy. You and your group here.
You're somebody who joined 15 minutes late.
Yeah, we are going to have a replay. You can go to the website; it will be put on there. I'll have the link probably set up later today in the members section, and we are recording this as you know, so.
Okay.
You won't miss too much. I know a lot of times people get on late. We always do encourage everybody to log on a little bit early just in case they have technical problems, but everybody can't always do that. So
right.
That's just the way it is, So
okay, everybody.
Thank you so much. And we'll put your contact information up there also. And
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll see you next Friday then at 11 o'clock. Which would be the 17th.
Great.
Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Subsidized property like Section 8 or anything like that. They're never gonna apply.